What's going on, true Blazer fans? This is Tori and I'm back with another game recap. So this game recap is going to be a little bit different because the game a couple days ago against the Minnesota Timberwolves was an absolute blowout. So there's just not really much to recap. It was a wall-to-wall win and Portland took care of business against a team without Jimmy Butler. The Minnesota Timberwolves played like trash, but that leaves me in a spot where I think I'm just going to recap each player's first 10 games. Damian Lillard had another solid game a couple of nights ago, and he's just putting together a very solid season. He didn't play many minutes, and his minutes are way down this year. Last year he played 36.6 minutes. This year so far he's only playing 33.4. I say about a minute of that is due to the rotation, and then a couple of minutes of that is due to games where the bench is playing amazing or blowouts. Even with that, he's still averaging 28 points per game and almost 6 assists. Per 36 minutes he's averaging over 30 points per game. He's more efficient. He's shooting 48% from the field, 37% from the three-point line, and a whopping 94% from the free throw line. His true shooting percentage is 63.4%, which is elite level efficiency for a guy scoring on his volume. Dame also leads the league in win shares per 48. That number has seen a huge jump compared to last year, and I just hope that Dame can keep this up. His defensive box plus minus is also up from last year, as it's only at a negative 0.3, so he's basically been average on that end according to that stat, and he has a box plus minus of 9, which eclipses his career high also set last year of 6.7. So Damian Lillard has reached a whole nother level so far this season. CJ McCollum, on the other hand, hasn't had as good of a start to his season, but I just think it's due to him adjusting to not playing with the bench at all. So he's always playing with Dame, so he has the ball a little bit less. He's not tasked to create shots for himself and others as much as he has been in the past when he used to get subbed in with that second unit. I think he's also trying a little bit harder to make the right pass, which you won't necessarily see because he still fails at doing so, but I think he's kind of starting to second guess himself here and there as to whether he's being a little too selfish or a little bit too aggressive in terms of trying to score the ball, and I think that's kind of maybe messing with his confidence a little bit, which is leading to him missing more shots than he normally does. His scoring is down to 19 points, but he's also only playing 32 minutes per game. Per 36, he's scoring at an identical clip as he did last year, so his scoring isn't really down. His assists are down though, only 2.6 per 36 minutes. He has to do a lot better at finding the open man when he's open and making the right pass. His three-point shooting is way down to 34.5%. A couple years ago he shot 42%. Last year he shot almost 40%. So that's something that I do expect to get better. I think CJ will kind of find that right balance between making the right pass and scoring the ball though. I think he'll find a way to maintain that aggressive mindset while being able to see the floor a little bit better and being able to make the right pass a little bit more. At least that's my hope. Who knows? Jusuf Nurkic has been very underrated this season. He's averaging over 15 points per game, over 10 rebounds in only 25 minutes per game. Per 36, that's 22 points and over 14.5 rebounds. He's also much more efficient. He's shooting almost 54% from the field, and that includes a lot more three-point attempts. Inside the arc, he's shooting over 58% from the field. His career high in that area is under 51%, so that's a huge improvement finishing inside the arc for Jusuf. His free throw percentage is also way up. He's a career 62% free throw shooter, but right now he's shooting 77.5%. All this is reflected in his true shooting percentage, which is at 59% right now. His career high in that area was under 53 before this season, and this is reflected in offensive box plus minus 2. His career high in that area before this season was a negative 2.3, which is very bad. This year right now, he's a positive 1.8. That's a huge improvement, just overall efficiency, shot selection, and if he gets some of those threes to fall, it's looking even better. While people say his defense isn't as good as it was last year, defensive box plus minus is still above 2, so he's still a very solid player and playing very well. He's been the most underrated Portland Trailblazer so far this year in my opinion. Al-Farouq Aminu seems to have improved his dribble drive game. I do think he looks a little bit more comfortable dribbling the ball and with the ball in his hands. However, that has coincided with a huge dip in three-point percentage. He's only shooting 28% from behind the three-point arc. We definitely need him to get that percentage up around 35% like it was last year, or else he's a liability out there on the offensive end. His defense has still been solid, but I think it's kind of declined from last year as well. Aminu's having a rough year. He definitely needs to pull it back together because he's still seeing around 30 minutes per game. Maurice Harkless, this dude has been out for 4 or 5 games now with the same injury that bothered him at the end of last year. I'm getting increasingly worried about his knee. I feel like it might be something that results in him having to have surgery, and who knows how long he'd be out for if that was the case. But we're doing a pretty fine job without him. Jake Layman has been solid in that starting role, and I think Jake Layman deserves more than the 14.5 minutes he's getting a game. Some of those minutes come in garbage time, so in terms of the regular rotation, he's playing about 6 minutes to start each half and then not seeing the floor again. But he's shooting 57.5% from the field, 44% from the three-point line, and he's averaging 5 points, so it's not a ton of volume, but it's very solid. His defense has been solid as well. Defensive box plus minus of over 1, offensive box plus minus of a 1.5. His true shooting percentage is a whopping 66%. Jake Layman has been solid in the very limited time that he's seen. I definitely think that he deserves a little bit more run so we can figure out if this early season production is a fluke based off small sample size, or if this is something he can kind of maintain. Zach Collins. If you guys watch most of my videos, you guys know I love talking about Zach Collins. 11 points per game in only 20 minutes. Per 36 minutes, that's 19 points per game, and he's doing it very efficiently. From the field, he's shooting over 57%. He's shooting 43% from the three-point line. His free throw percentage improved from 64% last year to 82% this year. And then his blocks per 36 minutes. Last year it was at 1.1. This year it's at 2.8. His rim protection has been elite so far this season, and it's shown in his defensive box plus minus. He has a 3.2 there. Offensive box plus minus, he has a 2.1. So in terms of overall box plus minus, he's second on the team with a 5.3. Hopefully he's able to keep up the shooting efficiency, and hopefully he's able to continue protecting the rim at an elite level while getting more fair calls, because I feel like he gets 1 or 2 very bad calls against him each game. He's averaging 6 fouls per 36 minutes, so that's not a good foul rate. Hopefully, as he continues to build his reputation as an elite rim protector, he'll get more of the benefit of the doubt from referees. Seth Curry. We need to get Seth Curry more shots, in my opinion. He just looks like he's not in a rhythm, and he looks like a lot of the shots he's taking, he's kind of forcing, he's pressing, he's trying to get himself into a rhythm. He is shooting great from behind the three-point line. He's shooting 46% on 2.5 attempts per game. Inside the arc though, he's only shooting 30%, which is really weird because the year before his injury, he shot 53%. The year before that, he shot 46%. So 30%, that's an aberration in my opinion. As he gets more of a rhythm after coming back off that season-ending injury, I think that percentage will rise. If he can shoot like this from behind the arc, he'll be a very valuable asset down the road. Nick Stauskas, this dude has really surprised me. I knew he could shoot, so his shooting isn't the surprise here. It's his dribble drive game and his vision. Per 36 minutes, Nick Stauskas is almost averaging 4 assists per game, and a lot of these passes require great vision. He's building a very good chemistry with Zach Collins. Zach Collins is an underrated cutter for a big man, and Nick Stauskas seems to have a knack for finding him. But not only creating shots for others, he's able to get to the rim more than I expected, and he has some crafty finishes inside the paint. So while he's more impressive in that area than I expected, he's still not efficient inside the arc. He's only shooting 42% from 0 to 3 feet. That's actually something I expect to improve because for his career, he's a 53% shooter, which still isn't good from that range, but 42% is hard to even fathom. He barely shoots any mid-range jumpers, and he's shot a decent percentage on those. It's just his finishing at the rim. That's why he has a higher three-point percentage than field goal percentage right now. He's shooting 45% from the three-point line and only 43% from the field, so I hope that improves. Overall, it's nice to be able to get 9 points and 2 assists off the bench from a guy only playing 20 minutes per game. Myers Leonard had a very good game against the Minnesota Timberwolves a couple nights ago. As I said, I will compliment Myers when he does well, and I will call him out when he does bad. And honestly, you never know which Myers you're gonna get. Against the Timberwolves, he had 15 points and 12 rebounds. I heard the fans chanting his name at one point. They were cheering every time he got the ball. It was pretty funny to watch in a 30-point blowout. He will have to see spot minutes here and there. I just hope that when the situation calls for it against a small ball team, Stotts doesn't make the mistake of subbing in Myers instead of somebody like Jake Layman, who should be playing more than he already is. Caleb Swanigan, he hasn't shown me anything that changes my opinion on him of not being an NBA player, but being a guy that could dominate in the Euro League. Wade Baldwin and the rookies have barely played. There's nothing to talk about there. That's a performance review for the first 10 games of the season because the Minnesota Timberwolves game last night just wasn't very good. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This has been Tori. Peace out, True Blazer fans. Go Blazers.